Ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo community is at war with itself, except half the people don't even realize it because they're at work. So today we're going to take a look at this thumbnail right here. Why 3.5 million Switch 2 sold is not that impressive. This is the thumbnail of a YouTuber who goes by the name of Nintendine, who spends 13 minutes talking about how the Switch launch broke records, but that doesn't indicate that it is a success because it's only 3.5 million and the regular Switch sold 150 million, and so we have to see how many more units the Nintendo Switch 2 continues to sell throughout the year before we can determine if it is a smash hit success. And that is of course the truth, obviously, right? We can't just look at 3.5 million in the first week and say, wow, the Nintendo Switch 2 is the latest and greatest thing ever, it's going to be the biggest console of all time. Obviously it's too early to tell, obviously, right? I think that's a pretty mellow, normal response, a normal opinion to have. But my favorite part about the video is actually all of the people in the comments talking about this apparent war between the people who bought a Switch 2 and said that it would succeed and they were right, and then all the people that still haven't bought one and they're standing on their business and they're standing on principles and saying it's too expensive and yada yada yada, and Nintendo is a greedy corporation, all that other stuff. So let me just, we're gonna go over some of these comments because I think they're very funny, but let's just figure out how did we get here, right? Nintendo's Switch 2 is the fastest selling game console of all time. The Switch 2 has reached a record-breaking 3.5 million units sold, not shipped, sold in just 4 days. That's really impressive stuff here. Nintendo was expecting the Switch 2 would be just as successful as the original, and it's already become the fastest selling game console of all time after a strong launch. Nintendo revealed today that it has sold more than 3.5 million Switch 2 units in the console's first 4 days, surpassing records for any of Nintendo's hardware within the same launch period, but the record is more significant than that. Daniel Ahmad, director of research and insights at Nico Partners, points out on X that the Switch 2 is the fastest selling home video game console of all time. It took Sony 16 days to sell 2.1 million PS4 consoles and 6 weeks to reach 4.2 million units. The Switch 2 has also comfortably beaten the PS5 launch, which debuted during the pandemic and associated chip supply constraints. It took 7 weeks for 4.4 million. Okay, so why is the Nintendo fan base at war with itself? Okay, you've got, first of all, half of the fan base online, right? Let's just be real, 90% of people don't give a shit about any of this. Like I said earlier, they're at work, okay, they're taking care of their kids or their dog or whatever, like they don't care, they don't know that any of this is going on. Okay, but for those of us that are chronically online, part of the community is saying, look how successful the Switch 2 is, everyone knew it would be successful, you're stupid for assuming that it wouldn't be successful, la di da di da, right? And the other half of the community is like, this doesn't prove anything, this is just mindless consumers and scalpers, and it doesn't matter, right? So how did we get here in the first place? Because I find this whole thing so fascinating, right? As somebody, let me just toot my horn really quick, okay? As soon as Nintendo revealed the Switch 2 and its price, I went on record and read the entire launch like a book. I said, oh my god, everyone's gonna freak out online and then it's still gonna sell well. I predicted, I told you so, I knew it would happen. Every adult in the room knew that this would happen. But anyway, this all actually started because people were talking about how bad the Switch 2 was going to do, right? It was revealed by Nintendo. Some of Nintendo's fans were like, hey, cool, I finally get a new Mario Kart after a decade, that's gonna be sweet. Oh look, it's more powerful than the Switch 1, nice, maybe I'll get one, right? That was all the normal people. That's what all the normal people said. Everyone who enjoys video games, everyone who's got more to do than be chronically online, that was like the normal response. And then you had this wave of negativity hit all of social media, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Reddit, from the basement dwelling neckbeards saying, oh my god, Nintendo is a greedy corporation now, they're charging $80 for Mario Kart World, oh my god, the Switch 2 is so expensive, that's so crazy how expensive it is, even though it's $500 with Mario Kart World, whereas the PS3 came out in 2006 at $600, and you don't even have to adjust for inflation for that to be more money than the Switch 2. So $500 consoles is a completely normal and acceptable thing, and has been for, let me check the date, 19 years now. Okay, welcome to reality. And now that I think about it, it's funny that we've had $500 consoles before some of the people complaining about the Switch 2 were even born. Okay, regardless, because of all this initial backlash on the Switch 2, it sort of forced a knee-jerk reaction from the rest of the community saying like, well, wait a minute, and I'm one of them, right? You can look back on this channel. I was like, hey, wait, hang on, $500 for a console is basically industry standard at this point. Okay, whether you think it's worth it or not is your own personal opinion, but like, we've had consoles in that price range before, and yes, an $80 Mario Kart World, not ideal, but like, the price of games is inevitably going to go up. We just live, that's just the world we live in. The price of eggs goes up. Okay, so of course the price of games is going to go up, and so there's kind of been this knee-jerk mirror force reaction within the community saying like, well, wait, slow down the hate train here. I'm excited for the Switch too. I think Mario Kart World's going to be great, right? So that's how all of this started. It was just an initial wave of hate towards the Switch 2 because of the price point. And now that the numbers are out, and at least for the first week, it seems like things are going pretty well. I remember when the Nintendo Switch 2 was first revealed and everyone was screaming at the top of their lungs, this is the Wii U all over again. And I was on record saying that maybe it will be like the Wii U, but it won't be because of the price. It's going to be because of marketing, right? Well, it turns out so far, the Nintendo Wii U sold 13.5 million units worldwide. Okay, so let's see, 3.5 divided by 13.5 times 100. Okay, we're over a quarter of the way there in 4 days. Okay, so it turns out that this does not look like it's going to be a Wii U situation right now. I'm not gonna sit here and say the Switch 2 is going to be a massive success. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the narrative has changed very quickly over the last 4 days, ever since we started getting some real numbers, right? And now we have people moving the goalposts, right? It's no longer, oh, it's going to be the Wii U. Now people are starting to say it's going to be like the 3DS, right? And I just love it. And this is why I just can't help but make these videos, because people are so out of touch that it just feels so good just being right time after time after. It's like slam dunks over and over again. It's easy. It's like I'm playing basketball against 3-year-olds. It's crazy. Look at this. I have zero doubt Nintendo has at least 3.5 million fans willing to gobble up their price gouged slop. At least none of the language in that statement was leading or coded. The real question is how many people beyond that echo chamber they'll be convinced to buy their Switch 2, aka the Switch 1.5 without the OLED, and deal with all their other horrible anti-consumer practices. Man, this guy is so mad. This guy he's actually furious. The 3.5 million has ruined this man's day, and you can tell he's chronically online because Pepe is literally in their icon, and I know because I'm chronically online. I use Pepe all the time when I'm on Twitch because I'm a freaking loser, and we have 105 upvotes. So I mean, if we're talking about echo chambers here, I think you found yourself in one, by the way. But people like this are why the Nintendo community is at war with itself at this point, because they're unable to understand that just normal people bought a video game console. Like if we just take a step back here, we're not saying gobbling up, we're not using the word slop, we're not being like passive aggressive or anything. If we just look at what happened, just regular people bought a game console. Like that is objectively what happened, right? And they bought it really fast. A lot of people bought the console, right? That's what actually happened. So however you want to twist it and spin it and make yourself feel better about what just happened, like normal people bought it. Yeah, when I went to I have one. When I went to Best Buy, it was just, there was a little chubby 7-year-old kid who had it, got it with their parents. Like there's just, you know, the 38-year-old neckbeard there with his best friend. They got it for themselves. Like it just regular people just buying a game console, and it gets spun into this absolutely like demonic, like as if this is the worst thing that's ever happened because it's a big corporation, right? Here's another one. Extreme Nintendo fans are already flaunting that they've won the battle against the doubters. What they don't realize is that they're boasting for a week's sales worth. How well will it sell for a year from now? We will see. All I know is I ain't buying it. Again, extreme Nintendo. It is not possible in the minds of these people that it's just regular dudes. There's just regular families, just 42-year-old people who they make 120,000 a year. It's not a big deal to spend 500 on another console because they've done that for the last 20 years already. They like playing video games and they want to play a new Mario Kart. It's been a decade since we've had a new Mario Kart, and they just bought a it's not, that can't possibly be like the reality because it doesn't fit their narrative, right? Their narrative is that the only people buying this are mindless, stupid consumers who have no moral compass, and they're just these hogs hogs and these piggy banks that are being milked dry by Nintendo. And maybe that's true, but that is the case for literally every consumer of any product ever. This has absolutely nothing to do with Nintendo. You could say the same thing about Apple, you could say the same thing about Samsung, you can say the same thing about Sony, you can say the same thing about every company that is public on the stock market. Okay, so it's like I'm arguing with children here. I'm almost a little bit embarrassed for myself. Here's another one. The diehards will come out, and after that the Switch 2 sales are gonna fall off a cliff. Now look, that could be true, but the coding and the spin on these messages is that this commenter needs that to be reality, right? Because if that doesn't happen, their worldview is shattered. They don't know who they are after that, right? Fall off a cliff. Why didn't the diehards come out in the same droves for the Wii U? Why didn't the diehards come out in droves for the Switch, right? This is the most successful game console launch in a 4-day period. Is it really only diehards if it's the most successful one, or maybe it's tapping into a broader market? This one's awesome. Do they subtract return units from people that changed their mind, or scalpers that couldn't sell them at a markup? Buddy, just go to eBay and look at the sold listings. They're selling for a markup every day. Like, what are you talking about? That they're consistently selling at a markup. I don't understand. What do you think they're not selling? Like, where do you live? I don't understand this. Like, and look, this is another thing that I called this in my unbox video. I said, guys, if you're a scalper, just try to get 50 bucks out of it, because they're supplying this thing like crazy. You're not going to get an insane amount for it, most likely. Now some people are getting 670 out of it. That's pretty good, right? That's actually not bad. 660, 640, sorry, 650 with the delivery fee here. Not bad. Okay, not bad. So again, this dude is just not in reality. But here we go. These are my favorite ones. Here come the 3DS comments. This is the fastest Nintendo seller on launch since the 3DS. Yeah, just think that. Here's another one. This doesn't have to be a Wii U for Nintendo to get knocked back into gear. Yes, the multi-billion-dollar company needs to get knocked back into gear, like it's a drunk friend that's just out of pocket. It being like the 3DS should be enough. All of a sudden there's this narrative that the 3DS was a failure. Again, this is the goalpost being moved again. Okay, fine. It's not gonna be like the Wii U. It's gonna be like the 3DS. Yeah, it's gonna be like the 3DS. Buddy, the 3DS is the 13th best-selling console of all time. What are you talking about? Nintendo would be thrilled if it sells like the 3DS. Are you serious? If the Switch 2 sells like the 3DS, that means it sold more than the NES, the Xbox One, the SNES, the N64, the Xbox Series X and S, the original Xbox, the GameCube, and also the 3DS sold 76 million units and the PS5 sold 77.7. So what you're really saying is, man, if the Switch 2 sells just as well as the PS5, oh, that's gonna show them, dude. That's gonna, ooh, Nintendo really has it coming. It's only gonna sell as good as the fucking PlayStation 5. Oh man, they're gonna that'll show them only selling as good as the PS5. Oh, freaking loser. Oh, we told you it only sold as good as the PS5. Stupid. Like, bro, oh my god. 3.5 million guinea pigs. There, I said it. Oh, mic drop, bro. This is a freaking Giga Chad alpha male. Holy shit, he said it, dude. I can't believe he said that. That's so alpha. That's so alpha. I can't believe it. What an absolute maniac for saying that. Unbelievable. Dude, I thought I was going insane seeing everybody around me blindly flock to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. I love this channel. Finally, someone that isn't bootlicking Nintendo. Again, it's this world of extremes that these people live in that just blows my mind. Like, I'm not bootlicking Nintendo. I'm not sponsored. Nintendo can get f***ed. I don't care. I'm just a normal guy who wanted to play Mario Kart World, just like the other 3.5 million people who bought the Switch 2. It's this like manufactured war of hate towards the Switch 2 is all coming from one side, and then there's just all the other normal people, and I feel like I'm the only one talking about this. It's like blowing my mind that the amount of copium is just like, y'all are overdosing. You got to come back. You're too high. You got to come back down. And so what we've learned is that there are a lot of gamers, a lot of Nintendo gamers, or I should say perhaps ex-Nintendo fans, who feel very strongly about the Nintendo Switch 2. They're very mad at Nintendo. And I think that this anger comes from, and we're going to play psychologist now, I think it comes from this misunderstanding that Nintendo is supposed to not act like a large corporation, right? I think, and this was something that I saw in a video from the background NPC, who is actually a relatively new YouTuber. I actually saw her, she was, I think Asmongold reacted to one of her videos and she kind of blew up from there, and great content. I watched this entire video, right? But she kind of embodies the sort of problem that I think some ex-Nintendo fans have with Nintendo now, and that is that they are under the assumption that Nintendo is not supposed to be a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Or at least they should not act like one. They should be, you know, they are the supplier of our childhood nostalgia, and because of that, they're supposed to, for some reason, treat us as consumers more gently, right? They're supposed to nurture us as if we're kids forever. They're supposed to be there for us when times are tough, because that's what they were for us when we were kids, right? And unfortunately, it's a rude awakening for these people, right? It's a rude awakening that Nintendo has been a massive corporation forever. They have literally been a massive corporation forever. Okay, I remember when YouTube first came out, they would flag down every video that had Smash Brothers content or any sort of Nintendo footage that was on YouTube back in like 2008, 2010, whatever. You had to like sign up for the Nintendo partnership program and they would get a revenue split and you'd barely make anything. They've been acting like a giant corporation for 20-25 years now, and you're only realizing this because you're 30 now. But like, everyone who's paid attention since, I don't know, ever, realizes that Nintendo is not immune to being a large corporation. They've always been like this, right? And so I think this anger comes from these people feel like there was a bait and switch, right? Nintendo used to be this wholesome company and now it's a greedy corporation. But now that we've all grown up and we peel back the curtain, as it turns out, it's always been a greedy corporation. You were just a child, so you didn't know that, right? And so it's almost like this coming to Jesus moment where people are like, they finally made it. They're finally fully grown. They finally understand the real world, and they're taking it out on Nintendo because it's the only constant that's been there the entire time. And that's why making videos like this are so easy for me. It's so easy for me to see the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, and I know exactly how it's going to go. It's going to sell out. Everyone knows this. The price point's no big deal. The average consumer doesn't care because they're just here for a good time. They want to play a brand new Nintendo game and that's it, right? But then there's like this sub community within gaming that's like this ex-Nintendo, we used to like them but now they're evil, even though it's really just our own perception that's changed and nothing has actually really changed if we're being honest with ourselves, right? That's really what's happening here. Okay, and I think that's where this sort of like Nintendo war has come from, and it's just interesting as I'm kind of onlooking and watching all of this play out in real time, exactly as I predicted it. Like, let's be real, it wasn't hard to predict, right? Nintendo Switch, best-selling console of all time pretty much, and oh, big surprise, the sequel's gonna sell well. Like, everyone knew that this was gonna happen, right? But it's just so entertaining for me to see this sort of sub community just like losing their mind, changing the goalposts. Oh, you'll see one day you mindless consumers are gonna wake up and realize it's like, no dude, we're gonna just wake up and go to work. Sorry, like, yeah, I don't know, it is what it is. And you know, again, if the Switch 2 sells as well as the 3DS, Nintendo is going to chalk that up as one of the biggest wins of their entire career. Why? Because the Switch 2, by your own admission, is nothing special. It's nothing special. So if all they have to do is repackage the exact same thing but with better hardware and it sells half as well, they put literally no time or effort into it at all. That's like the easiest ROI you can imagine. It's incredible. This is basically a portable PS4. This is old hardware. This is old news. They're not breaking new ground here. Yeah, okay, cool, you can use it as a mouse. No one's gonna fucking use that, and you and I know that. Of course no one's gonna use that. So if they sell 75 million of these, if they sell as many as the PS5 of these, are you kidding me? That's a huge win. That's a huge win for Nintendo, and I just love that the goalpost has been moved to this like extremely achievable thing that is actually a massive success, and now somehow we're owning the consumers. Oh, you dumb consumers, it's only gonna sell 76 million, you stupid idiot. It's like, okay dude, and also you're gonna get one. Shut the fuck up. You're gonna get one in 6 months when you realize that the new Smash Bros is coming out or the new Pokemon's coming out. You're gonna get one, you know know it, everyone knows it. So just save yourself the embarrassment and just let people enjoy things. I think that's really what this comes down to for me as well, is like, dude, can we just not be negative about a game console? Like, who gives a shit? How privileged does your life have to be hating on a game console, right? All you're doing is giving me free content, and look, this video might get 200 views, so it's not that big of a freaking deal, right? I don't really care that much, but like, man, your life must be incredible if all you care about is a game console and hoping that it sells poorly so it validates your worldview. Damn, you have a great life. That's incredible. How about we just let people like stuff? How about if people like Mario Kart World, you could just let them like it. Yeah, you could just let them like it, no big deal. Anyway, Nintendo Switch 2, fastest selling game console of all time. Will it be able to keep that up? I have no idea. I actually have no idea. It could be a flop. It still could be the Wii U, but this is just yet another data point that suggests that it probably won't be. It still could be. There's anything could happen, right? One thing is for certain, Mario Kart World ain't no Breath of the Wild, okay? It sure as hell ain't. I'll be the first to admit that Breath of the Wild was a way better game as a launch title for a regular Switch than we got for Mario Kart World, right? Mario Kart World is just a new Mario Kart game with a very similar formula. No one really cares about the open world roaming, the new features or whatever. It's fine. It's like it's a Mario Kart game. It is what it is. It doesn't push boundaries for any genre. It's basically a very safe kart racer, whatever. So the console could still fail, but as more and more data comes out, it seems like normal people like the Switch too. Who would have guessed? Can you imagine that? One thing is for certain though, the next 6 months for the Switch 2 are going to be very, very closely watched by everyone in the community, because man, we come out of the gate swinging with big numbers like this, and we've only got what, Black Friday and Christmas. I'm excited to see how is this going to go. Is it going to immediately tank like everyone hopes it does, or is it going to go on to be a legitimately great console with the best yet to come? We'll have to wait and see. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you drop a dislike down below. I'm sure that this video pissed you off because the only people that are going to watch it are the ones that are chronically online just like me. But if you did like it, drop a thumbs up, subscribe down below. And with that being said guys, let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are on the Switch 2. With that being said guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.